With the cost of living continuing to go up and never seemingly wanting to come down, more and more younger people are starting to get concerned. In the year 2024, going into 2025, it seems like you need about 3 people to be able to afford a mortgage, 2 if you want to be able to afford rent. And if you're somebody in maybe the higher classes making about $150,000 or more, and yes, you'd expect about 150,000 to be way more than enough to be able to live comfortably in America. And you'd be right about that. Yes, a lot of that can be credited to bad financial education. You're starting to see a lot more of this trickle down into the middle class. Now, this first video was actually sent to me by one of you guys. If you didn't know, if you check the description down below, you will actually see my business email. Feel free to send me an email if you find a video that you want me to react to. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that looks like good food right there though. Now see, I'm gonna go ahead and pause it there, right? I see a really big problem with people nowadays is wanting to overspend. That is an extremely huge problem I see. I mean, you can see in the video, you have vegetables, you have fruits, you have oat milk, which granted, I don't really like oatmeal like that, right? But, it's very low calories. You have a ton of meat, you have salmon. Let me continue the video. You see potatoes, you see milk over there in the corner. That is really good food, and that will be plenty of food for the week. Maybe for 2 people, of course, it's going to be double that, right? But let's compare what this guy had in his grocery haul to another person. Now remember, the other guy's grocery haul was only about 86, 87 bucks. This one is about $400 worth of food. And you can see like immediately a difference. It's just a bunch of junk everywhere. And don't get me wrong, right? This is only about like $200 worth of food right here, $250, right? But if fast food prices are increasing, what makes you think that major corporations like Cheetos, right? Like, okay, I'm Mexican, right? Like, I don't know if you can tell, I'm extremely Mexican, right? I love Dynamite. Like, that is just my chip of choice. Dynamite, Takis, Turbos. Got a fucking bag of Turbos right here. But that shit's like $6 now. Like, like chips are $6. They used to be like $3 for like a big family size bag, $3-4, 6, 7. You know what I mean? Like that's a meal from like, look, okay. This isn't good food at all, right? But I can pull up the McDonald's app right now and I can find you a cheaper meal than that. All right, look, I said $7 for a bag of chips, right? Look, I ended up getting, I don't know if you could even see that, right? But I ended up getting a $5 hot and spicy $5 meal, right? And I ended up getting a large fries, and they only came out to, I don't know if my camera can focus on that, $7. Yeah, that's $7. Granted, that's with the app, right? But you can compare prices of everything, and God, it makes me feel like a fat ass sometimes, because that's the only reason why I don't eat breakfast at any kind of fast food restaurant, because it's about the same price as lunch. And, for me, that doesn't seem like it's worth it.
Every time I think about or trying to move out my parents' house, the cost of living just get higher and higher.
Yeah.
Like, insurance goes up, gas goes up, not to mention the fact that you got to make 3 times the rent of wherever you live at, which is kind of
That's kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy. I mean, okay. When the average Gen Z salary is just right around about 40,000 a year, right? Which turns out to be about like 34,000, I'm gonna say, with taxes. At 34,000 a year, right? You're making about like 2,800 a month, I'd say. Which, so to make about 3 times that, right? Let me do some quick calculations. $944. So your maximum rent, if you're making the average Gen Z salary, is not even $1,000 for rent. When the average cost of rent is about like $1,500, $1,700, $2,100. I mean, you could even go to the video right here. Rent $2,100, and that's not including water and electricity, then car notes, insurance, plus a kid. I'm 23 too, and just look at God sometimes, wondering why our generation is so cooked. This is TikTok. A lot of people complain on TikTok, but this is the average person. This is what everybody is going through.
Because the average person my age ain't even making what I'm making. Not to mention the fact that I check my pay stubs all the time. I'm not making as nearly as what I would make if they ain't take all them
Big
fucking
time.
taxes out of my checks.
Big time. I'm not anti-tax. I'm gonna say that right now, because without taxes, we would not be here right now, because some random person would be invading our homes, because why not? I'm in the same boat as him. I'd say I make about more than the average person. I make about 75,000 salary, you know what I mean? So that comes out to about like 55,000 a year. So really think about the difference in that, right? really think about how much more somebody can do with what, 15 more $1,000.
every 2 weeks. Like, and I just been sitting here thinking, like, cause with me personally, when I moved out, I always wanted to move out by myself
Hmm.
or with a significant other.
That's the goal for everybody.
And
To be
now I'm
honest.
starting to realize when people move out, they get roommates
Oh yeah.
or they
Oh yeah.
move in.
Oh yeah. Me and my friends have talked multiple times about moving in together, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have done it as well. I mean, whether it just started off in on a high school table, or gotten even farther than that and actually moved in together. But even if it's not just your friends, right? Roommates are very, very useful. Like in the beginning of the video, like I said, right? Most of the time, three people is good. So if you're a couple, maybe looking to becoming a triplet.
College apartments with other people that they don't even fucking know of because the cost of living is too fucking high. How can I get a house these days? How can I get a house, bro? The average house is like 300 bands, you know what I'm saying?
300
And
bands
like
minimum.
the average like monthly cost of it is like 2,500 a month.
Well, that
Like
depends on
that's
that's okay,
crazy.
okay, okay, okay. 2,500 a month, right, for 300,000. That depends on two things, right? That depends on your credit score, which is why it's very important. You know what I mean, like to build your credit score and not to be done with it. Me personally, I only use my credit card for things like gas. That's basically it. Because my card has a special rewards. Like you can select what category you want. A specific amount of cash back on, and I picked the gas. And I think that's really all I need. Like a $30 gas pump. That's why I drive a Honda Civic. You got some people spending 16,000 a month on a truck payment, spending like 50, 60 bucks on car, like on gas. Sorry, me no, me. I'll stick with my 2014 Honda Civic. I'll spend 26 bucks on gas. I'm chill with that.
Like, and me personally, I never agreed with having to have more than one source of income. In my opinion, you having more than one source of income should be a choice.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be I shouldn't need two sources of income to fucking survive. I'm 23,
Yeah.
bruh.
Yeah, no. Okay. So that's the thing, right? Not to get in like this is not a red pill channel at all, right? I am not red pilled at all, right? But okay, so let's go more traditional, right? Traditionally, right, you could have one man support an entire family, and that'd be that. You know what I mean? Like majority of the time, people would be stay at home wives, and like I'm not opposed to people going out and working, right? I would I would much prefer my girlfriend go out and work. That's more money in our pocket, we can afford a down payment even faster than that, right? But it's the fact that it is now not an option anymore. Like you have to have two incomes.
God damn. I am fucking 23. And I'm already like having a midlife crisis for real. You know what I'm saying? Because I want to move out my parents' crib, but I ain't trying to live check to fucking check. Like, I'm sitting here making more money than I ever made ever in my life
Mhm.
in a year span. And it's still not enough for me to fucking move out and be able to fucking sustain a living. Like,
Do you know how much better I would be if I was born about 10 years earlier? Now, I don't want to make this video sound like I'm saying that, oh, if you're somebody that's older, you had life way easier. I mean, that's not true at all. I mean, my grandpa, he worked about like 2, 3 jobs to support a family of 8. But 2 to 3 jobs to support a family of 8. You need about 2 jobs to support just yourself.
If you want cheap rent without getting a roommate, there's only two options available. So for your first option, if you want a cheap apartment, is you have to move to far, far away land. You have to
Yeah.
move to a small ass town where everybody goes to Walmart for fun. There's nothing to do and you'll be bored as hell, but your rent will be $35 a month.
Hey, don't make fun of Walmart. I mean, I used to do that all the time. When I was a kid, I lived like fucking 5 minutes away walking from a Walmart. I used to go over there all the time.
Your second option, if you want cheap rent, is your roommate is probably going to be rats and roaches. Your car's going to get broken into. You're probably going to get shot. But at least your city's a lot of fun and there's a lot of things to do in your city.
Now, I don't think that living in a good area should be a luxury. I think that, that should be a right for everybody. Now, it makes sense, right? Like, obviously, if you're living in somewhere that's, like less livable, rent should 100% be lower. And if you're living in the heart of a city, rent should be like the most expensive it can be, right? But the fact that suburbs around major cities are starting to become even more expensive than cities were fucking 10 years ago. Yeah. I mean, and not even that. Like, if you look at Dallas, a lot of the rents are cheaper than places you can find north. Now, I got two options right now, right? If I want to splurge, I'm thinking about maybe moving over to Frisco. But if I really want to be a lot more like budget to like what my salary can actually afford, like for a house, that is. I'm thinking about Forney, Texas. I mean, Forney, Texas is behind Mesquite, only about 20 minutes away from Dallas, right? But that's still like, that's Forney, Texas. What's in Forney, Texas? And for anybody living north of Dallas, right, you know that a ton of people, like even somebody you might know, is moving to Princeton. Princeton is starting to become a lot more affordable. Look how North Princeton is. Now, the vibes of moving into a growing town can either be really good or it could be really bad. I mean, it just kind of depends on the direction the city goes into. I mean, I live in Waxahachie right now. I've been here long enough to kind of see it, go from nothing to where it's at right now, and it is a lot busier right now. I mean, it's very convenient, but the prices of everything is starting to go up a lot more, and especially if you look around the area. I mean, the only place you could really work is either construction or like you have to do just some kind of labor.
And this is why I think renting is such a very unfair concept. I have a friend who's paying $2,500 a month
That's a
for
house.
a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment in Miami, Florida.
Okay, and that goes to show like the comparisons, right? Like if you move to I was talking about Forney, Texas earlier, right? You can get a house for like 2,500. Your mortgage by the end of the month, depending on your down payment, should be around like 2,000 or 2,500 a month, right? And that's in Forney, right? Location, right? This is in Miami, Florida. 2,500 for a 2-bedroom apartment. I remember when I was a kid, right? I remember $900 rent. Does anybody remember $900 rent for like a 1 bedroom? Like 1,200 for a 2-bedroom. That makes sense. Fucking 2,500 for a 2-bedroom that doesn't make sense.
Then I have another friend who's paying $800 for a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment in a small town in South Carolina.
Yeah, I work in Tulsa, and the houses up there are really cheap.
Both apartments are pretty much the same size. The only difference is location. I think it should be illegal for rent to be over $2,000 a month. You could be paying $2,000 a month for your apartment, and your next door neighbor, same model, same everything, could be paying $1,800 for the same model apartment as you. Or they could be paying more than you. When you renew your lease, it could go up by $9 or $900.
And that goes state to state, right? I mean, unfortunately, I live in a state like Texas where by the end of the lease, right, your renter can he can increase it to whatever he wants, right? If I'm paying $900 right now, right? If he really wanted to, he could increase it to $3,000 if he really wants to. Would anybody rent that for $3,000? Probably not if it was originally $900, right? But if it's in a good enough area with gentrification, most likely it's gonna, buy out. Although you are starting to see a lot more, if you look around the market, right? You're starting to see a lot more vacant homes, a lot of price droppings, and I do not believe that that's a sign for a better home market. I mean, you can even go back to like COVID, right? If you bought a house in COVID, right, you probably thought that you were screwed, right? I mean, like the prices, everything were good, right? But then just 2 years later, you're doing absolutely fine.
$9 or $900, and then you're paying $2,000 a month, but you will never own your apartment. You will never own it.
Of course not.
I feel like rent should be like a fixed amount across the board. A 1-bedroom apartment anywhere in the United States should be like $800. A 2-bedroom apartment should be like $900. Life is unfair, but renting is 10 times unfairer.
Okay, so he made a lot of good points there, but towards the end, I don't think that he was making the best, wording choices. Rent should not have a fixed line. Let's just not make that a thing, right? You can make an argument for a flat rate. Like, if you move into an apartment, right, and you have the exact same model as somebody else, right, on the same exact floor, it should cost the exact same. And also, that's the whole point of renting, is that you don't own it, and you have people taking care of the apartment that you live in, for you. Like if you move into a house, everything that you do, you have to fix on your own, right? And I have personal experience of my own. I forgot if I said this in my last video or in another take of this video. I'm sorry if I already said this before, but when I had first moved into this house, right, I believe on the first month we had a really bad storm, and it had knocked down both the fences on both sides of my backyard, right? And that ended up being about like $8,000 that we split across both all three neighbors. But things like that can happen at any time, and that's a lot. That's something that a lot of people don't budget whenever they drop money on a mortgage and buy a house, because it's not just the mortgage. Rent is rent. That's one thing. It can go up, right? It can go down. Most likely, it won't go down. It'll go up, right? Mortgages will stay the same unless if you refinance and it goes up, I guess. But everything that you do is on your own, right? I mean, like mulch. That's not cheap, right? Like taking care of your like. Have you thought about taking care of your lawn? I mean, I know a couple of neighbors in this neighborhood. They don't take care of their lawns. Think that only devalues your house, which devalues the entire neighborhood. But nobody thinks about that when they're budgeting for a house. We're gonna end the video with a funnier one. I just ended up seeing, and I kind of want to just play for y'all.
Being in your 20s isn't that bad. Go out to the bars, party, have some fun. No, Martha! I have fucking work tomorrow because I have bills to pay! But sweetie, you're so young. Go travel, go see the world. Martha, I can't even fucking afford Chick-fil-A right. Maybe if I was this age 100 years ago and it costed $5 to get a fucking house, I would be in coma right now, Martha!
I wanted to end the video saying this, right? While yes, inflation has always been a deal, right? People will say back in the days, right, houses only cost like $20,000, right? And then you have another person saying, oh yeah, but they only made like $3 an hour, right? Always take into consideration inflation. Right now is probably the most expensive time to live in, but you just have to remember to stay strong, do everything that you can to make sure that your income is the highest that it can possibly be, and take sacrifices if you have to. Leave a like on this video if you liked it, please, because I'm just a small channel. I'm trying to grow. The entire point of this channel is so I can afford a down payment. So yeah, take care, everybody.